Making the switch from selling a traditional lead gen offer that most agencies are out there selling to selling a specialized high ticket AI infrastructure offer was without a doubt the best decision I ever made for my agency and allowed me to scale like I never thought possible. And I'm going to show you everything inside of this video because quite literally within the first 3 weeks of making that change, as you can see here, from January 1st to January 21st, collected 31,000, immediately 6x my revenue, which led me to doing over 586,000 over the lifetime of my agency, which is about 15 months. And now, look, this took me months to learn. I'm condensing all of this down into about a 30 to 40 minute video so you know exactly what I did so that you can implement it right away and start making this kind of money. So let's get right into it. Phase one here is laying the foundation. We need to create a high ticket offer because you don't want to be selling a 1 to 2K a month retainer. That's just not ideal because you're going to have to continue chasing clients to build up that monthly recurring revenue, and they're going to continue to churn. It's not sticky. And by sticky, I mean keeping clients around. If you have an offer that's sticky, like a CRM, for example, where everything's integrated into it, it's very difficult for the client to leave because they have so much built into that. But with lead gen, for example, they can just say stop and they're done. That's it. Whereas with AI, it is a lot more sticky because it's so valuable and it's really integrated into their systems and what they're doing in their operations. And so you want to create a high ticket offer. That is step one. You want to think, what is a big problem that the niche I'm going after has, and how can I solve it? And you want to keep it as simple as possible. You want to be picking one niche, have one service that you're offering, and target them through one channel. Get to 1 million a year doing that. Get to the 50 to at least 80K a month mark doing that before you start implementing other things. Keep it simple. So you can sell AI appointment setters, you can sell AI lead qualifiers. And if you're already an agency that's doing like 5 to 10K a month, then you're probably good at running ads, or at least relatively good at running ads. Run your ads with the AI offer. So now you can charge 5, 10K, 15K up front, plus still be making 1 to 2K a month on the back end every month. And so that's super, super valuable. And look, we have the AI lead qualifier, we have the AI client onboarding assistant, AI customer support agent, reactivation campaigns. Those are all good ways. But if you're running ads or if you're getting new into the AI space, the AI appointment setter is the best way to go about it. Selling an AI appointment setter is so, so valuable for a business. And I've sold it for 5, 10K upfront, just that agent. We've had tons of our clients who have done that as well, just for appointment booking agents, close 5K, 10K, 20K deals. So it's very doable. And you can still charge, a 500 to $1,000 a month support and maintenance fee to maintain the agent. Now, when you're getting into picking your niche, there's really no bad niches with this because every niche can benefit from voice AI in one way or another. But you do need to have the right systems in place to be able to target the right qualified businesses in each niche, which I'll be going through as well in a little bit here. But when you're picking your niche, if you're already working with clients, stick to that niche. You might be an agency that's working with a handful of different clients in different niches, which is common. That's what I did at the beginning. It's what most people do, right? You just want to work with as many people as you can, but pick one niche. Trust me. Home service is great. Real estate's great. Marketing agencies are great. Online coaches are amazing because all of these are such heavy appointment reliant businesses. They need appointments to succeed. Medical as well, insurance, they're all appointment based, right? And so this is where appointment booking agents are so, so useful. And selling these to businesses is just enough for them to be willing to pay 5 to 10K upfront because you're automating so much and saving them so much time and creating so much value. Now, when it comes to the company's size of the business you're actually pitching to, you want to make sure they're making enough money, right? Because you're not going to go to a business making 2K a month or 5K a month and get them to pay 5 to 10K upfront. You're just not. It's all their money. That's all their revenue. They're not even their profit. So they're not going to be able to pay it, which is why you want to make sure you have the right qualifications in place to get the right size businesses, aka qualified prospects, onto your calendar. And so the amount of employees they have, how many leads they're generating per day, revenue, their profit, these are types of things that you can either ask on their calendar booking, or you can have a qualification process throughout the funnel where you're asking them a question like this and only letting the people who meet your qualification pass through, filtering out the people who don't, and making sure that they are meeting these qualifications. Also in the confirmation call, which I'll explain a little bit later. If you're not familiar with that, you can ask them some of these questions so you can get a good idea of if they actually are a qualified prospect or not. Now, the pain points. When it comes to the niche pain points, you need to be selling a service that solves one of these pain points because prospects pay to solve their pain, right? And so you're able to charge more based on how great the pain is that you alleviate. And so the bigger the pain that you can alleviate with your service, the more you can charge. And booking more appointments or lack thereof in a business is a huge problem that they're willing to pay a ton for. And so having good speed to lead, missed calls, these are all problems that businesses face that the AI can solve. Slow sales process, bad lead follow-up system. All of those are huge, right? Because let's say home service, for example. Throughout all of this, I'm just going to use roofers as an example. So let's say you're a roofing business. Most home service companies, those guys are on the job unless they're massive, where the guy will be in the office. The owners are usually they're in the field, they're doing the job, so they can't answer calls, they can't book more appointments. So that's why home services, I think it's an amazing niche to go after. Any of them, roofers, plumbers, electricians, home renovation, all of them, because they're so heavily appointment booking based. They're not very tech people, right? They're usually blue collar guys who just want to do the job, and having AI inside of there is super super useful. Now when it gets to the pricing framework, again, this does depend on a few things: the value that you're providing to the business, the level of the problem being solved, and how much it's going to make them or save them. And so when you come to this point here, you're always going to want to make as much up front, right? But also have the highest lifetime value as possible, which just means how much money you're getting out of the prospect, right? If a prospect pays you $1,000 a month for a year and then they leave, that's a lifetime value of $12,000, right? And so the best way to go about it is an upfront payment and a monthly retainer. That's the sweet spot. You can also do things like revenue share per appointment. I don't love those models personally. I like a nice upfront payment of 5 to 10K. And then whatever I charge up front, I usually do 10% of that for a monthly retainer if I'm just selling AI. But if you're running ads and stuff as well, whatever your ad cost is, if you're charging $1,000 or $1,500 a month for ads, just throw that on top of it. Maybe you do 10K up front and then 2K a month for ads and maintenance and all this sort of stuff. And that's a very, very appealing offer to businesses. And so, because if they were to hire somebody to do that, it would be probably 5K a month, right, for salary. But they can pay you 5 or 10K up front one time and like $1,000 a month. That's a no-brainer for them. And that's why this is such an appealing offer. But that's how you create a high ticket offer. You need to be solving a high ticket pain problem. You need to be solving a huge problem in a business. You can't go to a business and be like, hey, I'll run your SEO for 10K, because they're going to be like, man, get the fuck out of here. What do you mean? SEO is not a big enough problem for them. Ranking a bit higher on Google is a problem to where maybe they pay a couple $100 a month. They're not going to pay 10 grand to rank at the top of Google with SEO. They're just not. But if you can double their booked appointments, they will pay you 10, maybe, even 20, 30K, depending on the size of business. So now we have a high ticket offer. Phase 2 is crafting the assets and the core offer itself. And so now the reason I say the core offer is, what is the offer actually going to be? Because there are more components to the offer than just what we talked about so far, right? Than just, hey, I'm going to build you an appointment booking agent. Yeah, that's a cool offer. That's appealing, but it's not like turn your head, break your neck to see what that person's selling, right? Whereas if you sell something like what I'm going to show here with bonuses, risk reversal, a guarantee, those types of things, those make it so much more appealing. Because what's more appealing? Roofing agents, here's a booking agent for your business, an AI booking agent. Or roofing businesses struggling to keep up with all their lead flow. I will build you an AI appointment agent that doubles your booked appointments, and I'll completely do it done for you. And if you don't double your appointments in 60 days, I'll give you a full refund. That's an offer. That's an appealing offer. Like Hormozi says, that's an offer that people will feel stupid saying no to, because it's like there's no risk, right? They get a refund if it doesn't double their appointments. That's super good. Of course, you have to be confident in what you're doing to do an offer like that, but it's not difficult to get them great results with an AI. And so you need to sell the outcome, double your booked appointments. So is the example I used, right? Bonuses, you can do, free support for 30 days. I just like saying done for you. It'll be completely done for you and up in a week. That's appealing enough, I find, for bonuses. But you can do other things, like we'll build the automation workflows or whatever it is, certain things like that aren't too difficult but are still valuable and appealing. Risk reversal is, if it doesn't perform or doesn't do what we say, we will, give you a full refund. Or my guarantee is we'll give you a full refund plus pay you $1,000. That's even more appealing, right? Or you can do a full refund plus $10,000. It gets more appealing, but you don't need to go that far. Even if you just do, or we'll work with you for completely free until it does. That's a more than a good enough guarantee. But once you are at the point where you're confident, throw that guarantee in there. And so definitely increase it, because if you have an offer where it's like, if it doesn't work, we'll pay you 100 grand, people might not even know what the fuck you're talking about, and they're just going to pay and do it just because, right? And so the guarantee definitely plays a big part. And now when you're building the core infrastructure, there's a lot of things you want to keep in mind, right? So there's the funnel, the opt-in VSL page, the qualification page, the booking page, and the thank you page. And so when you're going through this here, the opt-in and the VSL page are super important. You need to have a good quality VSL. And so the VSL is designed to do a few things, right? Nurture, handle objections, answer questions, all those sorts of things, and ultimately sell the prospect. And the qualification page is super simple, kind of like I mentioned before, where you can have a qualifying question that says, hey, are you generating at least 1,000 leads a month? If they say no, you filter them out. If they say yes, you book them through, because we know we can help people get more value if they're generating a lot of leads, right? Go high level, the pipelines, the tags, the tracking, everything inside of there. And so I can make a separate video breaking down the entire Go High Level if you'd like. I have about 90% of our business just automated with Go High Level and Zapier. So I can show you that if you want. And the nurturing sequences are also done inside of Go High Level, email flows, SMS flows, AI call triggers, everything like that. You want to use the AI to book your appointments as well, right? As well as selling it to the businesses. It's super useful to use yourself. And then the ad setup. These are, I'm going to get more deep into these, but the ad setup is, of course, you're, using AI creatives. You can use AI for so many things now. I use AI for almost all my ad setup. AI creatives, AI copy, AI headlines, set up the pixel, and then you launch the campaign. So it's really nothing too crazy. And then you can also prepare lead magnets to get people in free resources. I use a lot of my YouTube videos as free resources because, as you can see, I put a ton of value and a ton of sauce in these videos, to where just giving a video to somebody is a good free resource that builds a lot of trust. And so that's super useful as well. And that's phase 2 of crafting the offer and assets. Now, phase 3 is the lead generation machine, because having a great offer is amazing, but if you're not generating leads, it essentially means nothing, right? And so the paid ads engine, there's a few ways that we can go about these paid ads. So, of course, we want to be able to generate as many leads as possible. I like to be in the anywhere from like $5 to $15 per lead. And so, to do that, you need to have appealing creatives. Demo or UGC creatives are the best way to go. You can even, ChatGPT is even at the point, or other AI tools like Claude or Gemini, where you can go into them and you can give it a prompt and give it kind of an outline, and it can create some pretty damn good creatives now, to where you honestly don't even need to create them yourselves. And you can also use softwares like Arcads or Creatify, where you can create those UGC creatives where it is just an AI person, and they do very well. We've tested them a ton. They do super good. I'll take them, throw them in CapCut, throw a little headline and captions on it, and they crush. They do super well. ChatGPT for headlines and copy, tell it what you want it to do. Say you're my ad copywriter specialist, whatever it is, and cook it up. And we've built some super in-depth GPTs that now we've given all our VSLs, all our ad copy, thank you page videos, to where I can go in there and tell it, hey, I'm going after roofers. It'll ask me a couple questions and write me out an entire ad copy, but my entire VSL script, everything like that. And we give that to people in the AI Growth Syndicate. And so if you do want to work with me directly in our team to help you build out all of this stuff, it'll be the first link in the description. You can book a call, see if you qualify, and we'll be able to help you scale to at least the 30 to 50K a month mark. And so my guarantee for that, to give you an idea, is if you don't at least make 20K minimum, you get a full refund, plus I pay you $1,000. See, that's an appealing offer, and that's part of the AI Growth Syndicate. So you can see what the offer does. For some of you, that may have been enough to get you to book a call, right? That's the power of a good offer. And now it's the same thing when you're selling directly to businesses. And so the full lead journey is click the ad, the VSL, the opt-in, where you're capturing their information so that you have them in an email list, because you need to capture their info, because you want to continue being able to market to them down in the future when you launch new offers, promotions, all that sort of stuff. They watch the VSL, they fill out the qualifying form. If they're disqualified, they get into the disqualification page, which is a super short video. You just saying, hey, unfortunately, you don't qualify. Here's some free resources in the meantime. And you're just saying, just because you're not qualified now doesn't mean you won't be in the future. And we'd love to work with you when it does make sense. But for right now, just enjoy these free resources that can help you out. And then if they're qualified, they book a calendar slot, get a confirmation email, confirmation SMS, an immediate confirmation call. Confirmation call is from the triager or the sales coordinator, whatever you want to call it, and he confirms the information. He, asks some questions, make sure they're qualified, all that sort of good stuff. Then he submits the pre-call info in a form. We call this the confirmation call info form. Pretty straightforward, right? They submit that, and inside of that, we have information about the prospect, their desires, their pains. Are they financially qualified? Are they ready to get started? Are all decision makers going to be on the call? And then a rating from 1 to 4 based on how qualified they are. And that is super valuable, because now the closer going on the sales call has all that clear information, plus what the prospect filled out on their calendar booking, to be able to close the deal. Now, when we're structuring an ad campaign, this is kind of typically what I like to structure it as, without any prior knowledge on it, or when I'm testing, right? Because if I have winners, I'll put majority of my budget into that. But when I don't know what's performing, let's say I'm launching a brand new campaign and I want to go after home service, but I don't know necessarily which home service business I want to go after specifically, or which niche, sub niche in home service. Maybe I'm going construction, home reno, or roofers, and I'm kind of deciding. So there's a couple of things. We'll have the whole ad campaign, right? The ad campaign holds the ad sets, and then inside of the ad sets are the ads. But with dynamic creative, which you can see here, and if this is going over your head, don't worry. Dynamic creative optimization is a feature in Facebook ads that allows you to test multiple creatives together, multiple headlines and multiple primary text to be able to see which one performs better. And so you'll have that one ad inside the ad set, which is inside the ad campaign. And so I like to do, let's say, 3 ad sets, for example. I want to see which interest between construction, home reno, and roofers outperforms, right? I want to see which one's the best performer and then go all in on it. But for me to know that it's purely the interest that is getting these results versus maybe the creators or anything, everything else needs to be the exact same, right? Because if I want to test for the interest, every other variable needs to be the exact same so I can attribute the changes to the interest targeting itself. And so we're going to have 5 creatives that are all the same in every ad set. These 3 primary texts are going to be all the same as well. These 3 headlines are going to be all the same, and the CTA, of course, will always be learn more. And now let's say after a week or 2 of running the ads, we see, okay, roofers is the best performing interest. We'll take roofers and we'll create a new campaign with it. And we will target roofers. And then we will take whatever the winning creative was. In this case, let's say it's ad creative 2. We'll take that because that was the best performer. And we'll put that in the new ad set in the new campaign. Then we'll take primary text 3, which is the best performer. Take that. We'll take headline 2, which is the best performer. And now we have our ideal winning campaign. We'll create it, launch it, probably put about 75-80% of the budget into that, and then keep 20-25% of the budget for continued testing. And that's how we launch campaigns and find winners and then continue testing. So that's how you want to approach that. Now, when it comes to lead generation, there's a few ways, right? There's the inbound and the outbound. Inbound, you have paid ads, you have organic content. These are so powerful. Paid ads is amazing because it's predictable and you can forecast it, right? If I spend X amount, I'm getting Y result. And if I double the amount I'm spending, I'll double the output. It's very straightforward, but you do have to be good at ads. Content is also amazing. Like this YouTube video will generate me leads. In the beginning, it doesn't because you have no audience. Once you start to build a little bit of an audience, you'll start to get lead flow. You want to make sure your content is targeted to your ICP, and which is your ideal client profile, and it's appealing to the people you ideally want to work with. And then they will book calls, they'll be interested, they'll reach out to you, but it doesn't happen immediately. Organic content is a slow burner, but it is more than worth it. Outbound is manual DMs, cold email, and AI calls. And actually, when you're coming to organic content, there's a few different types you want to post. One is value content. Like this video would be considered value content because I'm just giving away sauce, right? I'm just giving you information that can help you. The other kind is proof and testimonials. Testimonials of your clients, of your own results, to show that you're actually credible and know what you're doing. So you'll see I have a good amount of testimonials on my YouTube channel. I have testimonials in our funnels, on my Instagram, everything like that. And then personal brand is just content about you. Show you're a human, what you do outside of business, go to the gym, you have hobbies, just to show you're a human and build a real human connection, right? And so those are super important. Those are the 3 types. And outbound, you have manual DMs, cold emails, AI calls. Outbound, these are cold outreach. It sucks. Cold outreach sucks. It does work though, but it's a high volume game. You just send as many as you can, and that's who will close deals. Now, nurturing and retargeting. So let's say you have a lead list already. Maybe you built up a lead list over time. And this is what we do when we work with people. Most agencies that have a lead list, even if it's small, they have a lead list. And so we like to do what we call is quick cash collection wins. And so as soon as we work with somebody, we want them to get the quickest ROI possible, right? Especially when we're working with agency owners in the 5 to 10K a month mark, and they work with us, they pay us to work with them. We want to get them an ROI as soon as possible. So we have strategies like this to get them quick wins, doing email blasts, retargeting ads, even AI calls to their leads, all these types of things to get quick client wins coming through so that they can collect cash ideally in the first week so that they're already happy. They made an ROI on their investment and they're ready to go and keep scaling. And these are those strategies: email blast, content, story strategies, all those types of things are so powerful and very good at getting relatively easy wins. And you can honestly do those, like I would do them monthly, to be honest. Now, number 4 is the closing and fulfillment. Because now that we can generate leads, we have an offer and we know who to target, it's all about closing now. You're getting booked appointments and now you need to close them. And so the number 1 way to go is you want to always push for a 1-call close. It's not going to happen every time. Like you might close people on a follow-up call. You might close them over email or DM afterwards. That does happen. We've closed tons of people over DM, over, email after the calls. It does happen, but ideally in a perfect world, you speak to them for 45 minutes, an hour, and then close, right? Payment agreement, they're good to go. So when you get on the call, you show up with a full triager report, which is submitted by the triager, right? The confirmation call, all the info about the prospect, rating 1 to 4. You hop on, you position yourself as the authority. You need to speak confidently. You need to just immediately show them that you know what you're doing. And that comes from how you show up to the call. Don't show up in your car. Don't show up, wearing bummy clothes. Don't show up with a hat on and all this type of stuff. for most people, right? If you're super credible, for example, like for Alex Ramosi, right, he can show up in a wife beater and his hat because he's made it already, right? But for the average person, you want to show up presentable, you want to show up looking good, and you want to speak with confidence. You want to build rapport right off the bat, 1 to 2 minutes. Hey, how's it going? Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Utah. Oh, Utah, I've never been there before. I've heard it's cool. You born and raised there? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you get right into it. Simple. Build a little rapport. If I see something in the background that aligns with something I'm interested in, I'll bring it up. Be natural. Be human. Discovery is the first portion of the call, and that's where you're going to be learning everything about the prospect. Why did they book the call? What made them want to get on here? Why are they interested in AI now? What problem are they looking to have it solve? How long has this problem been an issue? Why didn't they take action on the problem when it first showed up? What made them get to the point where they're taking action on it now? How is that problem affecting their business? How is that problem affecting their personal life? What's their life going to look like if they do solve this problem? What's their life going to look like outside of the business and in the business when this problem's solved? What's their end goal with implementing the AI? And then you're ultimately just bridging the gap between their dream, their pain, and showing them that your solution is the way to get there, which you do in the pitch, where you show them, okay, this is what our offer does, XYZ, this is how we do it, this is what the process looks like, you're setting the expectations, and this is how we can help you go from your pain right now, solve that, and get you to your desired outcome. And then you're handling objections, whatever those objections are, you're handling them, you're dealing with them, you are showing them that their objections are valid. You are trying to understand if it's a smoke screen, what their objection is, and then you're handling it depending on what the case is. Then you're closing the deal, you're collecting the payment, submitting the sales report form. So the sales report form is similar to the confirmation call form. The confirmation call form is designed to hand the lead off from the triager to the closer. Now, the sales report form is after you close a deal, and that's handing the client off from the closer to the CSM, the client success manager, or whoever is going to be in charge of onboarding and fulfillment. We get into the fulfillment options. How are we going to go about fulfillment here? I'll show you what our entire fulfillment process looks like, because having a good fulfillment process that you don't need to be involved in is an absolute necessity. In the beginning, you might be involved in it, but this is one of the main things we help set all our clients up with is a fulfillment and onboarding process they don't need to be involved in. Because when we close clients, I will see the payment come through, and then our engineer will take care of the client. They'll onboard them, they'll do the build for them, and then I just know when the build is done. That's it. And that's the way it should be. You should be removed from your fulfillment process. So there's a few ways you can go about it. One is do it yourself. You can build it yourself. You can learn how to do it. It's not the best. It's not scalable, right? If you have multiple builds or complex ones, if you're not a tech person, it is going to be difficult. Outsourcing is huge. Outsourcing is the way that you remove it from yourself, whether it's Fiverr, Upwork. It's fairly cheap. You can find good quality people, but ideally you don't want to be you don't want to be having to rely on somebody who's a third party across the world. You ideally want to hire internally. You want to build your team internally. You want to have your own engineer, and that's the best way to go about it, is placing, hiring, and onboarding and training your own engineer. And then also using specialized fulfillment partners is a good way to go. Other agencies, I know there's agencies out there that do fulfillment for you. That's a great way to go, but it's always best to have your own internal person that you can rely on. You can be closing deals for 5 to 10K up front. And you can pay this guy $250 to $500 per build, and they'll do it gladly because it's still a good amount of money. And then you have high profit margins on that deal. Now, so the delivering the client success. So this is what this looks like. You get the payment, they get a welcome email where they fill out their onboarding form, extensive questions about what their build's going to look like. They submit the form and book their onboarding call with the solutions engineer or whoever is doing the build themselves. The solutions engineer reviews the form, they have the onboarding call, the build and integration with the agents begins, extremely thorough testing with everything, launch the call with the client, there's client training, and then they launch the AI build. And so I'll show you what that process actually looks like here. So let's say whatever your payment looks like, whether you collect your WAP, a payment form, Stripe, those get done. The agreement and the payment form is completed. And then this Zap, when the form is submitted or the payment's completed, triggers an email to get sent where they are filling out this form, this onboarding form. All this information inside of here, the business name, login, scripts, Q&A, objections that they get typically, what their build looks like, how many follow-ups they wanted to do, all this sort of stuff. Everything we need for the build. Explain what their business does, what niche they're targeting, problems, constraints, how many agents do they want, and then they book their onboarding call. And then when they submit that form, we collect that in a Google Sheet, and that gets sent to our solutions engineer. And then the solutions engineer hops on call with the client, builds up the entire agent, all the follow-up sequences, the triggers, the webhooks, whatever it is, then has a final call with the client, hops on with them, makes sure they approve of it, shows them how to use it, launches it. You have a happy client, smooth onboarding process. You get a ton of referrals and endless money. And so you need to have a good onboarding process. It is super, super important to have a good and smooth fulfillment process, because if you don't, your clients aren't going to enjoy working with you no matter what. Even if your service is great, if your onboarding sucks, that's the first interpretation that they're getting of your business. And so that's the first impression. You need to make sure it's good, or you're honestly screwed. You need to have a good fulfillment process. Now, phase 5 is scaling and building the machine. So typically, let's say you're at, maybe the 15K a month mark. We want to be hiring teams, 15 to 20K a month. We want to be building the team, removing you from these processes. Triager. You need to have a triager. Triager and setter are kind of overlapping. You can have one person to do both. You want to be having a setter or a triager to be calling and messaging leads to book them in. They're going to be critical for setting your appointments. Closer is also super useful. You typically pay a closer 10% commission, setter 5%, maybe a base as well. But an engineer is also super useful for fulfillment. And so these are the roles that we help place in your business. And so when we work with agencies, like I said, you can click the link below to book. We are helping you hire these, train them, build your team, everything. And so, because ideally you want to be removed from the process entirely. You have a setter book your appointments, or organically, or ads booking your appointments, a closer hopping on, closing the deal, and then an engineer doing the fulfillment for your client and building it, and then you're just sitting back. And so let's say they pay 10K, 5% would go to the setter, 10% would go to the closer. That's 15% gone. So now you're left with 8.5K profit. Then let's say maybe you pay your engineer $500 for the build. So you profit 8K, 2K goes to your team, and you didn't have to do a single thing. That's the beautiful part of having a business that's self-sustaining. And then potentially have a client success manager as well. Now, automating the operations. Automating the onboarding process is massive. And so you need to have SOPs, you need to have trainings, you need to have ways for somebody to get onboarded. You give them a document that has everything they need, or a Notion or whatever it is that shows them everything inside of the business, what they're going to need to do, what their role is going to look like, all that sort of stuff, so that they know exactly what their process is going to look like, and they can learn quickly without you needing to spend your time every single time training new people, spending all your hours onboarding them. That's why having good SOPs and trainings are super important. Set up the internal pipeline so you know what the process looks like for a lead. These are just very basic, right? There's so many things in terms of the automations, and systems and operations are my specialty, to where I automated almost my entire business. And so it's very, very important having these systems, using Zapier, AI, all these types of tools that you can use to automate so much of your processes. And it's a lot more simple than a lot of people think. Now, another thing you need to do when you're scaling is scaling paid traffic. Scaling paid traffic, organic is great. Your views will increase as you start to optimize your content and improve. But paid traffic, you will increase your ad spend. Spend more on winning ads. If you double your ad spend, you will essentially double your leads almost every time. And split test funnels, add YouTube ads, branch into Google ads, all these sorts of things. I don't recommend branching into other ads until you're at least, the 80K month mark, 70, 80K month. There's no point, because you can scale to that $1 million year mark with one channel. Now, this is big here. Increasing monthly recurring revenue and LTV. Upsells, 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 upsells. The best way to get more revenue are from people who are already paying you. Your active clients. You do well for them and they're happy and they're satisfied with the work you've done. Upsell them. If you have an appointment booking agent, upsell them on a lead follow-up agent for 5K one time or 3K one time, then an extra 500 a month, whatever it is. More agents, more automations, more marketing integrations. Charge a monthly maintenance package. If you're people might not think it's a lot, maybe only $500 a month, but if you charge 10K up front and then 500 a month, if they're paying 500 a month for a year, that's an extra $6,000 in your pocket. That's a huge increase in LTV for for each client. So that's massive. Have a referral program. If businesses refer other businesses to you, give them like a 10 or 15% cut of the deal. Give them a percentage of it. That's super incentivizing. Or a free agent, or whatever it is, right? Cross sells. This is one thing I completely underlooked, because if a client asked me, hey, can you do something that's a little, maybe if it was a little outside of the scope of what we usually do, I'd usually say, no, that's not part of what we do. But just sell them on it. Cross sells are huge. We made a good amount off cross sells, to where a client will ask us, hey, can you guys do this for us? We'll be like, yeah, it'll be this much if you want to do it. They'll be like, okay, let's do it. That's huge. Immediate increase in LTV, right? And so that's absolutely massive. And just do that stuff for them. And so this is a quick overview of everything that I've used to scale my agency. And this is a quick overview as well of everything that we implement to the agencies that we work with. And yeah, guys, I just launched a new program called the AI Growth Syndicate, where I'm working very closely with everybody inside of it. And like I said, there's no pressure, but if you want to check it out, book a call down below, and I'll actually be speaking to you directly to see if you'd be a good fit and see if I can help you. Ideally, you're be in the 5 to 10K a month mark at least. That's the best spot, to where I have no doubt I can scale you to the 30 to 50K a month range. So if that's something you're interested in, click the link below and I'll talk to you. to you soon. But yeah, that's the video here. This is the systems I implemented to go from 5K a month in my SMMA to ultimately 50 to 80K months in my agency.